It is time for Window Manager number 10 of the 12 that I planned on reviewing as part of the Obscure Window Manager project. Today, I'm going to take a look at Herbst Luft WM. So let's get started. Herbst Luft WM, the tiling window manager with a funny name. Now, Herbst Luft WM doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, but the developers also say you can just call it HLWM. Me, I'll just call it Herbst Luft, or maybe just Herbs. But anyway, Herbst Luft WM, let's check it out here. I don't really know that much about Herbst Luft WM. I'm going in this really as a brand new user, never used it, I haven't researched it much, haven't done any kind of configuration with it. We're going to take a look at a out-of-the-box Herbst Luft WM experience. I installed Herbst Luft on Manjaro's i3 edition, so I have a Herbst Luft session here. We'll take a look at it in a VM here in a minute. What is Herbst Luft? It is a manual tiling window manager for X11 using Xlib and Glib. Okay, so manual tiling window manager. This is the real difference between something like Herbst Luft and tiling window managers that I'm much more familiar with, like Xmonad and Qtile. Xmonad and Qtile are what a lot of people would classify as a dynamic tiling window manager, where your layouts are kind of preset. You configured them in such a way this is where the windows are going to appear on the screen. Manual tiling window manager, you have a little bit more control on how the windows appear on the screen, where they get placed on the screen. You can, reading here from the page, the layout is based on splitting frames into subframes, which can be split again or can be filled with windows. So basically, you're creating this layout really on the fly. And something like Herbst Luft WM, I'm not sure how I'm going to like that. Again, it's very different than, tiling window managers that I'm used to. So it's a completely different kind of concept. One thing I do like is that it says each tag, your workspaces basically, are viewed on each monitor. So I know exactly one tag is viewed on each monitor. So if, say, I create 9 tags, 9 workspaces. Workspace 1 is on monitor 1, workspace 2, monitor 2, workspace 3, monitor 3. Makes sense, right? And the tags are monitor independent, similar to Xmonad. And I love Xmonad. The way Xmonad handles multi-monitors is great. It is the best way to handle multi-monitors. Meaning, okay, so I have workspace 1 on monitor 1, workspace 2, monitor 2, workspace 3, monitor 3. What if I want to switch workspace 1 on monitor 1 to workspace 4? It switches to 4. Now I have 4, 2, 3. But what if I want to switch 4 to workspace 2? Now monitor 2 that was workspace 2 is now 4. Monitor 4 is now 2. They just switch, right? Hope that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, I'll try to explain it a little better as I go through the tutorial. But how tiling window managers handle multi-monitors is one of the biggest differences. Some of them, what they do is they have a set amount of tags or workspaces on one monitor, another set of tags or workspaces on another monitor, and they don't really swap. They're completely dependent to that monitor. I don't like that. I like the way Xmonad and the way Qtile handles multi-monitors, and apparently Herbst Luft is going to handle them in the same way. Alright, so I'm going to launch my VM here. This is VirtualBox. I've got Manjaro's i3 edition installed. In addition to i3, I installed 11 other window managers. I've already reviewed in the list FVWM, JWM, OpenBox, PECWM, Qtile, TWM, Xmonad, Awesome, and Fluxbox. So today I'm going to take a look at Herbst Luft WM. And I installed Herbst Luft WM, but I haven't done anything to it. So this is Herbst Luft WM out of the box. Now, you see this red frame here, this red border here. This is the frame that we have to work in. If I open a window using the mod key plus enter, the mod key in Herbst Luft by default is the alt key. I'm going to change that later to the super key because I'd rather use the super key, but alt enter for now launches a terminal. Let's see, alt shift C closes the terminal. But you see we have one workspace. It just takes up the full screen, and that is where the window opens. Now, I will tell you, multi-monitors, I'm not doing anything with multi-monitors today because I only record these videos on one of my 3 monitors. But I did open this VM earlier in all 3 monitors, and this one workspace actually takes up all 3 monitors. So it does not do multi-monitors the way you think out of the box. Meaning, for example, let's add a workspace here. So Alt and O, I believe, splits the frame into 2. Yep. So now we have 2 different workspaces. But imagine this was open on all 3 monitors. Now it would split down the center, but like one monitor plus half of the other is 1 frame. And then the same, one monitor plus half of the other is 1 frame, if that makes sense. So you can actually open a window and it's like part on one monitor and part on the other. It's really weird. But you don't have to stick to that kind of configuration. But it is a powerful configuration that, you know, your frames are kind of independent of the monitors. I mean, you can have frames that overlap on monitors and whatnot. I personally wouldn't do that. I would want, you know, the frames not to be split, you know, on various monitors, because the bezel, you know, between the monitors kind of gets in the way anyway. Unless they were really thin bezels and your monitors were perfectly aligned, I would find that annoying. Anyway, so we were able to split that frame, right? So now when I open up a terminal using Alt, Enter again, of course it opens up in that frame. If I Alt K to move, actually Alt K doesn't work, Alt L moves to the frame on the right. Now you see that's highlighted. Now Alt Enter to open a terminal over there, opens a terminal on that frame. To make this a little easier, let me close this. Actually, before I close this terminal, let me launch a program I've already got installed here, ScreenKey. ScreenKey will make some of this a little easier. So now Alt-Shift-C to close that window. And now you guys will be able to see some of the key bindings. So Alt-H moves me from the right workspace, or the right pane over here, to the left pane. Not exactly sure what kind of terminology they're using there. Let me go back to, yeah, they call it a frame. So Alt-H gets me to the left frame. Alt-L gets me to the right frame. So H and L. Your Vim keys. Now, in between H and L, of course, are the J keys. They would go up and down, but I don't have any frames, you know, below these frames. Although I could add them. Alt U adds a lower frame. Now Alt and J moves down. Alt K back up. Alt L moves me back over. You guys see how this works with the Vim keys? And I could keep splitting frames however I want. So let's add another one right there. I could, with Alt O, Alt U, splits that one, you know, up underneath again. And this is what Urbs-Luft's homepage was talking about as far as it's a manual tiling window manager. We create whatever layout we want. You know, we create all these frames, and then in these frames we can place whatever we want to. So I can, you know, add another terminal there. I can move around over here. I can add something over here. I can launch a program. Let's see. I could do something here. Really don't have any programs hotkey, but I can launch a few things just to show you guys. You know, I can put some programs. Let's see if I can figure out how to move around, navigate. Oh, I'm stuck in Ranger here because I opened up Ranger. Some of the navigation keys are the same as some of the keys to move around in Ranger. So let me close Ranger. Now, let me actually close all these windows, actually, because this is going to be important. Alt-Shift-C to close. Move around with the Vim keys to get to the windows I want to close. Now, this is a little confusing, moving around with H, J, K, and L. If you're not used to navigating with the Vim keys, this is a little strange. Also, the way you manually split these frames with Alt-O and Alt-U is a little weird. Plus, what if I no longer want to use this layout? What if I don't want this weird layout that I've created here? I've got all these frames. How do I get rid of them? Alt-R removes that frame. Alt-R again would remove that frame. Alt-R and that removes that frame. And finally, Alt-R one more time. And we're back to just having one frame full screen. Now, we need to configure Herbst Luft WM just a little bit. I'm not going to do any crazy configuration because we just don't have that kind of time to dive into Herbst Luft today. Not into a real serious matter, but I want to configure it a little bit. So, where does the config file live on your system? Now, the default config lives at /etc/xdg/herbstluftwm/autostart. That is the file we need to edit, but we don't need to edit in the /etc folder. You know, that's kind of a root folder. What you need to do, you need to copy that file into your home folder. There's a hidden directory called .config. You need to copy that file into .config/herbstluftwm/autostart. And that is what I'm going to do. I've already typed the command here in the terminal. So copy the default autostart into .config/herbstluftwm/autostart. No such file or directory. Okay, so I tried to copy that file into a directory that doesn't exist. So make directory, let's see, .config/herbstluftwm. Alright, so we made the directory that we needed to create. Now, let's copy that again. Still. Okay, still no such file. So let's move. Let's change directories. Sorry, guys. Let's list all the directories. HerbstLuftWM is there. Maybe it's the /etc/xdg. Maybe it was the first part of the command that I got wrong here. Now, you know what? I didn't type this right. There we go. Okay, now list Herbstluft. Let's cd into the Herbstluft directory. And list. Yeah, autostart is there now. So that is the config file we need. Now, if I wanted to, I can edit this autostart file. I'm going to open it in Genie because Genie allows me to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see. So Genie autostart. And boy, I really wish I would have opened this in a different frame. Let's see. Let's make a frame over here. Let's see, Genie auto. So, well, that Genie autostart is not going to work right now because I'm not in the cd.config/herbs. Okay, now Genie autostart. It's still not in the right frame though. I wonder if I can move it. Yes, I can. Okay, so Shift-Alt-L was able to move this to the right-hand frame. Sorry about that, guys. Again, I'm coming at this kind of as a new user, so of course I still got the screen key on. That's kind of in the way, but anyway, looking through the Herbstluft autostart program, I can tell you one thing I'm going to do. It is a shell script. You see at the top the shebang /user/bin/env bash. This is a bash script. So this will be very easy to edit actually. One thing I need to do, I need wallpaper. So I'm just going to put this right here. Nitrogen space -- restore. If I save that, how do I restart Herbstluft? If I restart that, let me go to a different workspace. Yep, I'm on workspace 2 now. You see I have wallpaper now. Workspace 1. Alright, so that was very easy to get wallpaper up and running. Is there anything else I want to add here for autostart? We need to have some kind of panel or dock. You know what, I'm going to move back to workspace 2 so I have a clean workspace to work on. Let me open up a terminal. We need a panel for Herbstluft. Looking at their documentation, they recommend using dzen2. I could also probably use Xmobar, which I used with the Xmonad tiling window manager that I reviewed on the channel. Xmobar is already on here because I've got Xmonad on here. But there's probably not a lot of documentation on that. Probably not a lot of people install a Haskell program like Xmobar to use with Herbstluft. Pretty much everybody seems to be using dzen, so that's what I'm going to use. So Let's see. I don't know if it's in the Arch repos, the standard Arch repos, but I'm going to try to install dzen2 password. It is in the standard repos. All right. So close that. I'm going to move back to Workspace 1, Alt 1 again. So not exactly sure how to add the dzen panel. First, let's just try to launch it. I'm going to go back to Workspace 2, open a terminal. Let's just see if dzen2 works. If I hit enter, yes, I have a panel at the top. Now there's nothing on it. It's completely blank, so it doesn't really get us anywhere. What I'll probably do is pull down a config file. Somebody's already got it pre-configured, I'm sure, on GitHub somewhere to run with dzen2. I'll get us a panel up and running here in just a second. First thing I want to do right here, mod. This sets our mod key. Basically, all your key bindings involve one key plus something else. It's called the mod key. The mod key is set to mod 1 by default. Mod 1 is alt. I want to set this to mod 4, which is the super key. Uncomment this line right here, and then comment out that line. And now mod equals mod 4. The super key will be our mod key. So let me save this file. Shift Alt R to restart. And now, instead of Alt Enter to launch a terminal, Super Enter. Yep, Super Enter. So Super is now our mod key. So to close, Super Shift C now instead of Alt Shift C. So we changed the mod key. Moving a little further down the config, of course, we have our default key bindings right here. I'm not going to go through this. Many of them I've already showed you, such as navigating around with the Vim keys, creating new frames, opening a terminal. But really, some of the more interesting stuff you'll want to edit right away, the theme. This is the colors, the frame borders, the active color, the inactive color, etc. I'm going to leave them as is for right now. I'm sure they're going to change here in a minute though, because I'm probably going to pull down somebody else's pre-configured Herbstluft config. But that's pretty easy stuff to do, changing the colors. You guys will be able to handle that. The other thing you will want to do, multi-monitor setups. Now I'm doing one monitor here in this VM, but in real life I use a 3-monitor setup. So what I would need to do here is I would either need to manually set up my 3 monitors. So I would uncomment this line here. For example, if I had 2 monitors, this is somebody that has 2 monitors. The resolution is 1280 by 1024, and it tells what position each monitor is. One of them is at position +0 +0. The other one is at position +1280 +0. Now I'm not doing dual monitors, so I'm going to comment that line back out. But an easier way to do this, instead of manually typing in resolution and positions and everything, it's just uncomment this line. HC detect monitors. That will detect your actual monitors, in my case, all 3 of my monitors, and it will set up, as 3 monitors by default without me having to manually specify. Here's the resolution of each monitor. Here's where each of them, the position, the X and Y coordinates for each one is. So that is how you would set up your multi-monitors. Pretty simple. And the last thing in the config is, of course, the panel. And here is where your configuration file for the panel should reside. The .config/herbstluftwm panel.sh. So it's another shell script, another bash script. So if I opened up a file manager, I'm going to move to Workspace 2 again. So this time Super 2, because Super is now our mod key. If I can launch Ranger, not sure if I have Ranger hotkey to anything. Probably not. Anyway, but I'm going to navigate to the .config file. So, ooh, what did I just do there? I killed my VM. I've got a tiling window manager on my host machine and a tiling window manager in my VM. And, you think you're doing something in the VM sometimes and you actually kill, or you think you're doing something in the host machine and you actually kill the VM. So let me relaunch this. Give me just a second. I got the VM launched again. Let me log back into Herbstluft. Okay, now we got the wallpaper set. We've got our frame. Oh, by the way, I installed dzen2. It looks like we have a panel launching by default. Did I already have a configuration set, or did it? You know, the default config may assume you have dzen set because I'm pretty sure I didn't do anything to get dzen here. Let me launch Genie again. Let me create a frame over here. See, this, I don't like having to create a frame and then moving something over. To me, that is extra work. I'm not sure I would like that. Let's see. So I'm going to go to the .config folder. We created Herbst Luft WM, and we have our auto start here. But I'm pretty sure I don't have any kind of config for a panel. Let's see, find the panel, config, Herbst Luft, panel, shell. I'm going to move to workspace 2. I'm going to open up a terminal here. We got PCman FM for a GUI file manager here. This will be a little easier to see what's going on than Ranger here on the video. Herbst Luft, yeah, I don't have panel.shell, so I haven't even created any kind of config for a panel. So that's pretty cool that just installing dzen2 out of the box, I already get a panel. The mouse actually works with it. I'm not familiar with dzen2. It's not a panel I've ever used because Xmonad always use Xmobar, and Qtile has its own panel. Awesome Window Manager, which I've used in the past, has its own panel. I don't have to use third-party panels with those particular tiling window managers. So I'm going to move back to workspace 1. So super 1. So we need to create a panel.sh, panel.shell bash script, and we need to configure dzen2 a little bit. I know nothing about dzen2, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause the video for a quick second, and I'm going to go pull down somebody's config file on GitHub. I'm just going to pick somebody, because I'm sure there's a lot of Herbst Luft configs on GitHub. I'm going to pull down something random, and I'm going to get this set up just to see what it's going to look like. Okay, so I pulled down some config files. And I'm going to put these on my GitHub page so you guys can check out these particular shell scripts, basically. So in the .config/Herbst Luft WM folder, now I have auto start, which is our main config. We have panel.sh, which configures your panel, whatever panel you choose to use. I'm using dzen2. I also have a shell script called rename.sh. I'm not sure if that was just this person's, kind of additional script they added. I'm not sure if it's one of the normal shell scripts you need to configure Herbst Luft WM. But anyway, I've got those in that folder. Now, the mod key, which is super. Let me launch screen key again so you guys can see what I'm doing. Screen key. All right, if I close it. Okay. So, super shift R will restart Herbst Luft. And the panel disappeared. You know what I should probably do? I should completely exit Herbst Luft. So mod key, super shift Q. Let me go ahead and just close it completely out and log back in. Alright. I still don't have a panel. Well, I guess that didn't work the way I wanted it to work. Let's see. I tried to launch a terminal there with super shift. Okay. It just takes a second to load. There's something a little weird, I guess, with the config. It hangs for a few seconds to load for the first time. But here we are. Okay. But you know what? My key bindings are not working. So something is screwed up. It did load the dzen panel. I'm over here on this screen and I've got a million terminals open. I don't know how these things ended up open. Can I exit them? I wonder why. Okay. Okay, I'm back on monitor 1. Okay. So it looks like it is working. For some reason though, whatever this config is that I added, it takes a few seconds on launch for everything to configure itself correctly. But I now have the dzen panel at the top. I've got 9 workspaces. I've got, this one here, which is workspace 1, which is the dark orange color. That's the one I'm currently on. I have 2 and 3 with parentheses around them. Does that mean there is stuff on those? No? I wonder why they have a parentheses around them. I'm not sure. And then we have workspaces 4 through 9, or what Herbst Luft calls tags. So anyway, I can still split the screen here into frames. I've got 2 frames. I can split that one. So now I can do that. I can navigate around. Actually, let me just launch a few things here. H-top. Speaking of H-top, how much memory and CPU are we using? Wow, memory 157 megs. Very, very nice on memory. Very nice. I love window managers that don't use a ton of memory. Anyway, Urbz Luft WM, really just an initial look at it. Again, I don't know much about it. What I'm going to do though, I may review Urbz Luft WM again at a later point, because I'll be honest, it is kind of an interesting project. What I probably will do, you guys know I run Manjaro on my main production machine anyway, so I was doing this in a VM of Manjaro. I might install Urbz Luft WM on my main production machine and spend some time configuring it, to my daily use, because I'm not sure if it's something maybe I could use on a daily basis myself. The way it splits the screens into frames and all that, I'm not big on that. I like having predefined layouts that I've already set up in the config file. The way things like Xmonad and Qtile and Awesome kind of work. You already have a predetermined layout. You know exactly where the window, how they're going to be arranged. Instead of manually, I create a frame first, and then I put a window there. It's 2 steps when really it should just be 1 step. But maybe I'm just not doing it right. Again, this is the first time I've done a window manager like this, a tiling window manager, where you have to manually basically set up your layout on the fly. Anyway, I'm going to close all of that out. So I'm going to remove that frame. All right. And that will conclude my very brief overview, first look here of Urbz Luft WM. Again, I came at this, kind of as a brand new user. I don't know too much about it. I still really don't know how to use Urbz Luft WM that well. The config files that I pulled down and just briefly looked at here, they seem to work. I mean, I like the way the DZen panel looks in this particular config. I mean, I didn't play with the colors or anything. I mean, it's not like it's a pretty desktop, but you know what? I'm going to put these on my GitHub page. Probably as soon as this is published, it'll already be on my GitHub page. Those Urbz Luft config files, you guys can check those out. So that's it. That's Urbz Luft WM. I've only got 2 more left in the Obscure Window Manager project to take a look at. Next up, the one you guys have been bugging me about from the beginning, i3. And in particular, it'll be i3 gaps, because I'm going to do this on Manjaro, the i3 edition of Manjaro. And they install i3 gaps on that, so that's going to be what I review, i3 gaps. And then the last one of the 12 that I was going to review, Ice Window Manager, which should be pretty straightforward, Ice Window Manager. Anyway, before I go, I need to do a special thanks to all my patrons. AK Ron, Mr. Neely Pops, John, Brian, Carl, Greg, Carlos, Rob, Matt, Darkwin, Mark, Christian, Jake, Benjamin, Stephen B, Stephen Z, Marcus, Interceptor, Bob, Leor, Omar, Silvio, David, Alex, Bruno, Mike, Daniel, Nick, Eduardo, David, Tony, Michael, and Tabella. You guys rock. You guys help make this show possible. Peace, guys.